To this story now, and more people say they are losing their cars at shopping malls, not because they forgot where they parked. The Office of the Ombudsman for Banking Services says it's been receiving complaints from people claiming their cars have been repossessed without legitimate court orders. The office is warning people to be more vigilant. To discuss this, I'm joined now by Gwanda Vabaza, who is the Communications Manager and Investigator at the Office for Banking, the Ombudsman for Banking Services. Gwanda, thank you for your time. Does it really happen that people go into a shopping mall and come out and your car is gone and it wasn't stolen by thieves, well, at least not in the traditional sense of a thief, but it was taken by the bank that you owe, that financed it?
Tula, I must say I've had situations where, yes, people do say that they've gone into the mall, went out and found that their vehicle was not there. Only after they've reported it to the police do they find out that actually the vehicle was taken back by the creditors that they're owing. Now, with regard to the banks, I must say the situation is a bit different because in the matters that we see, people are mostly tricked, if I can use that word, into giving back the vehicles to the bank. And in most instances, that is unlawful, and it is actually not allowed by the National Credit Act.
When you say people are mostly tricked, and I appreciate that you were looking for, an appropriate word that captures what you are talking about, but in essence, you are saying that the processes are not followed through, in that the vehicles are repossessed in the absence of a court order or a voluntary termination notice by the customer. Explain that. Why doing that outside of those two documents and provisions is not supposed to be happening?
So South African law is very, very clear in how repossessions must be done, especially of immovable property. Now, there must definitely be a court order, and there must be a warrant of execution authorizing the sheriff of the court. Now, in some of the matters that we see people going to consumers pretending to be having a court order, but basically not having actually the original court orders, and convincing customers into signing documents. Now, in signing those documents, people believe that they're signing documents from court, only to find out they're actually signing what we call a voluntary termination notice. Now, that's where the tricking of consumers come in. What should happen ordinarily is that a sheriff of the court must go to the consumers with the original court order, stamped original court order, produce that court order to the consumers, showing them that, yes, they are authorized to take back the vehicle. Alternatively, if there is no court order, the only other person who can initiate the surrender or the giving back of the vehicle is the consumer. Now, the consumer, if they decide that they no longer want to keep the vehicle because they're owing or for some other reason, you actually do not need to be owing anything for you to return back the vehicle to the bank. But under those circumstances, consumers must not be tricked or intimidated into giving back their vehicle, because once now you intimidate them or you trick them, it is misrepresentation, fraudulent misrepresentation, and that obviously amounts to fraud from the side of whoever is representing the banks.
It is concerning. How widespread is it, this practice, within the people that you oversee as the Ombudsperson Office for Banking Services? How many cases, for instance, are you dealing with at any given point?
So I can say, I think when I looked at the stats currently, I think we're on about over 470 cases that are being investigated or have been investigated by the Ombudsman for Banking Services. Now, most of the cases that we investigate definitely involve people basically financially struggling to repay back their debts. And some of them, unfortunately, they do claim, a majority of them actually do claim that there was misrepresentations from the bank, or that they did not sign any VTN or voluntary termination notices, or that there were no court orders. But in most of the cases, we actually do find that actually a person did sign a legal document, basically surrendering back the vehicle or give him back the vehicle, or we do find that there was actually a court order that was issued. But I think our biggest problem is that people, whenever they change their addresses or move away, especially when there is a court order issued, they do not inform their creditors. And when those legal documents are now served on their properties, they're not there to receive them. And they now believe that the legal action that was taken against them was illegal, when in fact it was legal. Now, like I said, I think in some instances, actually, not in the majority of the cases, but in some cases, we do find that the bank did not follow the correct processes in reversing, in repossessing those vehicles. And those are the cases that are concerning to us, especially now, because a lot of people are financially struggling and they do not know what processes must be followed by their credit providers before repossession can take place.
All right, Gwanda, thank you so much for your time. I'm completely out of time, but at least we've managed to raise the profile of this issue and highlight it, especially as people are struggling, as you say, given what has been happening with our economy in the last while. That is Gwanda Vabaza there from the Office of the Ombudsman for Banking Services, highlighting the issues really. Credit there to the reporting of Business Tech, who had been reporting on this particular story. Pay attention, update the people, your creditors, when you change your addresses, so that in future, if there's any kind of communication that needs to be delivered to you, they can find you. But also don't just sign. Don't allow yourself to be tricked into signing anything until you are absolutely sure what it is that you are signing.